TalesFromYourServer, episode 13. I got sent home from work. I started working at a small local restaurant about a month ago. Before that, I worked at a large chain hotel restaurant, attending the buffet but not serving. At my old job, there was only me and one other guy on buffet duty, and they were slow to even consider hiring new staff. I worked basically a week straight with an awful cold and was just told to deal with it, since no one else could take my place. Today, I got sent home from work at my new job because I was exhausted from working both this and my second job all week. I already had to take a day and a half off earlier this week from illness. They saw I was tired, they wanted to make sure I was in good health, and they told me to take the weekend off and rest. God bless the small businesses. But on Google it says you're open until 9. 1. No it doesn't. 2. We close at 8, and it's now 8:15. The cook is literally not even here anymore, so I couldn't seat you if I wanted. 3. I work here. Don't try to argue with me about what time we close. Believe me, I know what time we fucking close. Vegetarians who just didn't get it. I work in a small cozy restaurant of about 25 seats. Had a phone call asking if we were open and had tables. We were very quiet, so said yes. They said they'd be there soon, and they have 2 vegetarians, and explained on the phone we don't specifically have a veggie menu, but the chef/owner, who took the call, was happy to make any dish a veggie dish. They arrived 10 minutes later. I explained the menus. We have a taster menu, the starters are bitter eyes, the mains are huge, that has 3 courses. The mother vegetarian couldn't get it in her head that the more people who had the taster menu meant the more food you would essentially get, and kept repeating if the price was per person or all 3. £34 per person for the taster is a good deal for the food you get, but she didn't think so. She seemed really dense. The daughter vegetarian wanted to look at the a la carte menu and didn't even want fish, but insisted she wasn't vegan, just vegetarian. I was told to tell her that any dish on the menu with meat can be changed to just vegetables, like she was told on the phone. So while dealing with the mother and her inability to grasp prices of the taster, the daughter kept repeating that there was no vegetarian dishes on the menu, even though we had just told her that any of the dishes the meat could be swapped out for vegetables. The owner, who comes out to greet tables, goes to say hello and reiterates what he said on phone about changing dishes, but the mother cut him off and said we will just talk amongst ourselves, thank you, snobbily. He wasn't pleased, so to the kitchen he returns. He's usually generous with food and very happy to accommodate tastes, and usually does extra, but said not this time, and if they decide to leave, do not try to make them stay. Leave they decided to do. Firstly, they should always check menus before coming to places, and secondly, we have dealt with many vegetarians and vegans who've been happy with our menus, but this is the first time I come across vegetarians so entitled. Sorry for long post. TL, doctor, vegetarians come in. Didn't listen or want to, and didn't get what we were saying. Didn't like menu. Left. I know my card declined, but can you just pretend it didn't? This might be a little long, I'm so sorry in advance. First post here too. So I work as a bartender in a nightclub that regularly has student nights. This story happened on Thursday, which was another of our student nights. We are usually quite busy on student nights, but a lot of the students have gone home for the summer, so we weren't as busy this particular student night. We have a little cast here, so let me list them. Me, your lovely bartender. SAS student arsehole SG, security guard. So I was restocking the back bar when Sa comes up to the bar, so I go and serve him. He seemed a little tipsy to me, but nothing too bad. I was making sure not to overserve him, so I decided, after I served him the drinks he asked for, I wouldn't be serving him anymore. I have a brief conversation with him while I pour his drinks, 2 pints of Carling, and hand them to him. Now, I was having a little bit of an issue with this guy on and off the entire time he was at student night. We had to tell him off for picking up a girl and swinging her over his shoulder. That's so dangerous, WTF. And he had to be prompted several times to pay for his drinks before he finally did. so I was expecting that same thing to happen this time. The drinks are considerably cheaper on student night, so he was only paying £4 for his 2 drinks, at £2 each. He waved his card at me, so I tapped the card option on the till, and said okay, just tap your card right here when you're ready, and I gesture at the card machine. He tapped the card the first time I asked, but instead of waiting for the transaction to go through like people usually do, he walks right off with his drinks. As soon as he walked off, I saw that his card declined, and I had to go get him to try again, to pay for his drinks. I found him in one of the booths sat on his own. The DJ setup was right next to him, so there were quite a few people dancing in that area. When I got to him finally, the following conversation happens. Me, hey my dude, your card declined, so I'm gonna need you to come and tap your card again. Sup, it's beginning to seem apparent to me that this boy is pretty intoxicated, alright, but it's only £4, so can you just let it go and pretend it didn't happen? Me, no, I'm afraid I can't do that. Sup, okay then can you just tell your manager that you couldn't find me? Me, no my guy, I can't do that either. You're just going to have to come up and pay for your drinks. Sup, what's my options here? Still trying to make me let him off the hook, which I won't do. Me, your opinions are, you can either come up to the bar and pay for your drinks or I can take them from you. He then mumbles something to me that I can't hear, and I decide to go to the SG, point the guy out, tell him what happened, and ask him if he can bring Sad up to the bar so he can pay, because he won't listen to me. So a few minutes later Sa comes up to the bar with SG and finally pays for his drinks. It was a whole lot of fuss for something that could have been sorted out really quickly if he had just stayed to see if the transaction had gone through. After that happened, I cut him off. I think that security escorted him out after he finished his drink, because I didn't see him after that, but I'm not sure. TL, Dr. Asshole walks off from the bar with his drinks when his card declined, refuses to pay for his drinks. Gets made to pay by security and then possibly gets kicked out of the club. Ex-server here. I normally have an extremely thick skin, but this is one of the times a customer brought me to tears. No thanks to help from a co-worker. I used to work at a cute little Irish pub and restaurant. I do miss the food there. I was put on a Friday night shift with a co-worker of mine in the dining room. We'll call her Patty. She's a sweet older lady that's been working there for nearly a decade. I love her to death, but for the 3 years I worked there I have consistently talked to my boss about either putting a third server on or moving her off of Friday nights, because putting it simply, she just could not keep up with the heavy rush. But here I was again, alone, with only her working the dining room on a busier than usual Friday night. We also had a party in the back room and my boss assigned Patty to it. That's never an issue for me, but when she's assigned the back room, she often completely ignores the dining room. I got the dining room completely to myself with no help. Short kitchen staff and the bar was too busy for the bartender to take a table or two. It was absolute insanity. I was breaking into a sweat just trying to run drinks to people. The kitchen staff would also help me run food to tables, bless them. I also had a 7 or 8 top with a bunch of older couples that all order separate, complain about literally everything, and then tip in Jesus coins. If you've ever been in this industry you know exactly the type. Okay, setup is over, so I'll explain what happened. There was a gentleman in the corner alone. We'll call him MC for mean customer. He complained about everything. The one I remember him getting particularly upset over was having a lettuce heart in his salad. BTW, it was from the salad bar, meaning he picked it out himself. He claimed I didn't bring him condiments, that he never ordered. The steak was too well done, he ordered it well done. I didn't bring him enough dinner rolls, even though he didn't eat any of them etc. I was getting increasingly frustrated with him, so I focused a bit more on my other friendlier customers. This also included a girl I know that served me many times at another local bar. We'll call her Mel. She's adorable, and I love her. Fun fact, if you're an asshole to your server, they may focus on other customers and a bit less on you. MC finishes his food, salad and soup, so I bring him the check. He then screams at me for the awful customer service. Remember, this is a small dining room, and I had all 24 tables full, and completely to myself. You can clearly see me running my ass off as best I can. The whole room seemed to go quiet, while MC is making a scene. He called me a stupid b*******, and asked for my boss. I told him calmly, hands were shaking, that he's gone, and won't be in until tomorrow morning. Mel then stood up for me, and told MC to quit being an a*** in front of everyone. He then starts screaming at her. Called her a stupid b******, and made her cry too. I'm so unbelievably done with his crap that I tell him to pay and to leave. He keeps screaming and tells me he will get me fired and refuse to pay. I again tell him to leave and he stops to continue screaming at me in the hallway. I tell him that he's making everyone uncomfortable and needs to leave before I call the cops. He did end up leaving and yes did call my boss, who is a known pushover, to try to get a free meal the next day. I had to step outside and cry for 15 before I went back in to deal with everyone else. I got a ton of generous tips and refused to let Mel pay for her meal. I ended up tipping her $20 on a $3 tab next time I saw her. I'm so glad that she and a couple others stood up for me and had some extremely kind words for me that night. I also ended up getting so extremely generous tips from customers that saw what happened. This whole ordeal was that guy trying to get free food, and it's absolutely disgusting that people like him exist. Be kind to wait staff and be as patient as possible with customers. We are all people. What's a pretty girl like you doing working in a dump like this? I own the place. Why do you ask? Honest conversation between owner and drunk sleazy male today. He made his wife cry by leering at other women. It should be mandatory that everyone works in the service industry for at least 1 year of their life. I have worked in corporate America for the past 15 years and recently quit. I have been serving for the last few months and am astonished by people's lack of awareness and ignorance towards the help. I had a woman straight up yelling demands to me every time I checked on her 8-top table. She yelled, "Napkins, then desert." Like, who the hell raised you? Ungrateful Karens treating the help like they aren't human. For the sake of baby Jesus, learn some manners. Watch the children. I'm not a server anymore, however I do work in food service. I'm a manager at a quick eats spot. Most of our customers are not super pleasant, especially when we get backed up on orders. Today though, was different. I was short staffed and we got slammed this afternoon. One of our orders came out wrong for this young boy. I must have glanced over him because he wasn't any taller than the counter. He waited so patiently until I got to a stopping point, and as I was walking away, he spoke up. He said his order wasn't right and asked if I could fix it. His face lit up when I told him I'd make him a new meal and he wouldn't have to pay a thing. Luckily his family was still there after the rush. I grabbed a cookie and got to sit down with him for a minute. I told him that kindness goes a long way and to always remember that you'll be remembered by how you treat others. I know it was only a cookie, but I hope that kid realized how much his actions can affect others. I hope his parents saw and realized what amazing young men they are raising. I also hope the rude fraternity brothers watched and took a hint from a 10-year-old. Tomorrow is my last day in the food service industry, and most days I can't wait to be out. It's other days like today when I know I'll miss it. Wholesome kitchen hands. I'm front of house for a busy waterfront restaurant in Australia. Two brothers, 17 and 19, started as kitchen hands, and I overheard the older one saying this to the head chef/owner. "Can you please tell my brother that I'm shit and that he's better to give him a boost? I'm really just here for him." The boss obliged. I had a walkout and I'm stressing. On mobile, yada yada. Anyways, in my restaurant we send all the servers and all the cooks home after 10 PM except for one. So one server, one cook, until 1 AM. I was the server last night, and we were at the tail end of a street fair, so we got a lot of overflow. I was weeded instantly. As soon as one table got their initial drinks, 2 more tables had come in. This whole time I'm taking orders, running drinks and running food, and people are piling up at the host stand to the point where I'm yelling, "We also have a DJ on Friday nights. Just sit anywhere, it'll be right with you." So anyway, an older couple came in, ordered 2 drinks and 2 burgers. They were one of the first tables in, so they saw the craziness happening. One of my coworkers came in to drink, and they recognized him and waved him down to ask about the food. He tells me, and I check in the kitchen, and then go apologize to the table saying it'll be 5 minutes, I'm so sorry, the standard. They waited until I was bringing their food out to walk out, to the point where I put their food down on an empty table to chase after them, so they could stay. Their food was in my hands as they were leaving. Anyways, this happened with no manager on duty, so I told the bartender, and she said no worries, I'll talk to the manager, etc. Fast forward to today, my only day off this week, BTW, where I was woken up to a call from my manager asking details and just generally being upset. Rant over, I'm sure I babbled, but like, fuck people. A gaggle of self-entitled Karens, same old, same old. We had a wait list of around 6 groups of people, but we are a bakery, so tables turn fast. Enter a gaggle of 4 Karens in their 60s, the worst kind emo, and one says a friend of hers who just left put her name on the waiting list. Is our table ready? Hostess checked. Her name wasn't on the list, and in any case we do not allow that. We do not book tables, and we would not allow someone to add someone else's name to the list, someone who hadn't even arrived yet. Lead Karen was mad when we said they had to wait for a table like everybody else. The house was really full, and we had loads of people standing around waiting for a table. They refused to wait, and walked out screaming that we refused to serve them, and that you'll hear from me on Facebook, you'll see. She did leave a comment saying we kicked them out, and that it was the worst experience of her life, and that she felt humiliated. We are closing in 2 weeks, and I'm past the point of caring. Screech away, Karen. After being a back of house worker for years, I've made my debut into front of house as a food runner. And honestly, the co-workers are worse than the customers. Rant ahead. Since I got pregnant, I thought it would be easier to switch from cooking to serving. So I found a bar/grill type of place to get my foot in the door. I'm not new to kitchens, but since I'm new to the place and starting as a lowly food runner, I'm being treated like a child by my co-workers. It's fucking annoying. I have been wanting to get out of this industry for a while now, and being on the other side of the house is just reaffirming it for me. I've worked in dozens of restaurants, and everywhere I go, egos and micromanagement are out of control. Due to lots of college-age workers, I suppose, there's a level of immaturity and yet bossiness that I'm losing patience with. I'm 27. Being new as a food runner, I get blamed for shit I know isn't my fault. I was a line cook, so I know damn well how to read tickets. Tonight, while I was outside for a break, another runner screwed up tickets to the point that a server's table was dragging their entrees an hour after their appetizer. I got blamed. And didn't get tipped out very nicely from this server who just assumed it was my fault. I know damn well how to say corner and behind, but God forbid I forget once in a while, like everyone else does, or I get a lecture from someone who thinks I've never been in a kitchen. This will make me sound super negative, but I was so damn sick of back of house tough guys with the same personalities and same dirty jokes all shift long, same fucking music played on every line I've worked, same bubbly personalities from servers, same flirty banter between fo and bot, same shit all around just everywhere. I'm tired and bored. And now I have hip pain from running food and being pregnant. I guess my point of all this is that I don't know why most servers complain about the guests. They're easy for me to deal with compared to co-workers. But maybe I'm just jaded and need to get out of this line of work stat. Alcoholic dishwasher pissed me off. So I recently started working at a privately owned Italian restaurant. There is the owner, his daughter and one manager. No corporate, no chain. This means that, if you complain about something, the owner usually doesn't give a shit. Which is fine, because all I do is make money and go home. Yesterday, my first day, I was taken aback by the dishwasher when I had 2 wine glasses that had drops of wine still in them, and he gulped them down like shots of tequila and said they shouldn't go to waste. Every single alcoholic glass he comes across he does this. I think the owner knows, but again, it's his restaurant so his rules. Today thought angered me. I had a table order a Chivas on the rocks. In typical bar fashion, the bartender created a mountain of ice in a rocks glass and poured the 1-ounce liquor in it. I'll admit it did look like a half-empty glass, but it wasn't. That's just how bar drinks go. I was in the back with the Chivas in my hand, and I was getting something else. The dishwasher grabs the glass from my hand and almost begins to drink it and says, "What, they're not gonna drink this?" I immediately grabbed it back, and it was covered in disgusting sink water and foot bits from his dirty hands. There was nothing I could do but wipe the glass and give it to the guest. I was so mad. He didn't ask first, just immediately grabs it and almost chugged an entire drink, which I personally don't like that he drinks like that anyway. For one, sure, it's technically sips here and there, but if he grabs a sip from all the servers, he could be drinking a substantial amount. For two, I hate contributing to this behavior. He's nice, but I can't in good conscience enable this. I just started there, so I don't want to be a snitch, and it's a tiny place. What should I do? Today I served my first 2 tables ever. I'm in training and supposed to just shadow a fellow waiter or waitress to get the hang of things and observe how they operate. The waiter I'm shadowing is a great dude, let's call him Kevin. He greeted me first when I was there all by myself the week prior. Anyway, he decided that he wanted to take me under his wings and shadow him. He went and explained to me how to greet customers and take them to their table and all the basic stuff. He gets our first table, luckily just 2 people, and he basically gave me control of the ship. I had to introduce myself and hand them menus and take their first orders. It was weird because I was tense, my people skills aren't stellar, and it felt awkward, but I got myself together and Kevin kept by my side and reminded me what to do. Eventually the 2 customer finished and I bring them the bill and they looked satisfied. After a short while we got our second table with a family of 5. Kevin was still by my side when we seated them, and after I took their orders Kevin left me all by myself to take care of them. Kevin still helped with the drinks because carrying a tray of drinks is pretty hard. Luckily these customers had sympathy for me and understood that I was in training. We had a few laughs and stuff and just communicated naturally. They were great. After the family left and I cleaned the table, I decided to call it a day. I don't need to be there full shifts yet, and it wasn't busy. Kyle hooks me up with some extra papers on explaining how to greet customers and basic stuff for me to learn at home. Today is a good day since I didn't expect to train today since I was supposed to take the menu test first. Oh well, I really appreciate the experience I got today. It wasn't as bad serving as what I initially thought. I'll be continuing Monday evening. Rude old ladies make lunchtime harder than it should be. Old story, I haven't been a waitress in a couple of years, but I was reminded of it today and wanted to share. Thinking of it still makes me shake my head from time to time. A party of 6 old ladies had a reservation in my section at lunchtime. A lot of our lunchtime trade was old ladies having meetups. They'd usually be lovely and some even turned into grandma type friends after a while. This was not one of those tables. Lady 1 has been there a while before her friends show up and already has a drink. As I'm asking the new arrivals what they would like to drink, she knocks her glass of wine over, breaks it, red wine goes everywhere. So I stop taking the drinks order from her friends and mop it up, chatting to her all the while, so she doesn't feel all awkward. Walk away with a tray full of broken glass and soggy blue roll, and her friend says loudly and rudely, "I hope you're planning to come straight back and take my drink order." Phew, good job you reminded me, I thought I was done here. Next lady on the same table, outraged tone. Are you really telling me these two dishes are all I have to choose from? Me, blank look, our menu was pretty big and we weren't out of anything. Huh, jabbing at two veggie pasta dishes me. Oh. No, we have plenty of other vegetarian dishes. I point out all the options, pizzas, salads, sandwiches, starters, and sides she could combine to make a nice meal. Huh, no. I have a dairy allergy, can't eat eggs and I'm vegetarian. I don't want bread or pizza or salad today. So yes, the two you've narrowed it down are the two you'll have to choose from, but that's not my fault. That's called selecting what you want to eat from a menu like a grown up. Then I brought all the food out, grated cheese for everyone but her, and went to walk away. She grabbed my arm to stop me and said I'll have some. I looked at her and she just muttered I can eat cheese. Then ordered a lat. You guys liked my story about the elderly man who freaked out, so here's a quick one about people who will do anything to give you a shitty tip. I'll keep this shortish. I had a table of two who were quiet but nice. Appetizers and mains went out nice and quick. Everything was going great. We serve a selection of homemade cake and they were speaking rather quietly about which one, and the gentleman said, well, I guess we'll go with the raspberry cheesecake. No problem, had it at the table in a minute. He proceeds to tell me he also ordered the blueberry cheesecake. I apologized and said I could get him one, since it takes a minute to get it cut, dressed and out. He said no, it's fine. Bill time. 0.96 tip on an $80 bill. Now I'm all for self-improvement of myself and the restaurant, so I went back to ask him if there was any problems at all with the service or the food, and if there was any way we could improve. He looks at me and says it is what it is, asks to speak to the manager, and said he didn't tip me well because I didn't hear them order the cheesecake. You don't need to follow your server to the bathroom to verify they wash their hands. Last night 4 tables, not much, but were 4 to 6 tops, so a little demanding. I had been sipping steadily on Pib Extra before when rolling silverware and hadn't had the change to use the bathroom yet. I had just taken a drink order from a table and it was all alcoholic, so I brought it to the bar. I passed the supervisor on shift and said in passing, hey, I need to use the bathroom, just let me know if I get any new tables. The table I had just taken the order of must have overheard me because I went into the bathroom and did my thing, then came out to wash my hands. The very demanding old lady of the table was just standing there by the sinks. I smile and say, sorry, do you need to go first? We have 2 sinks but one isn't hooked up due to plumbing issues. She snaps no and stares at me as I wash my hands. She then follows me out of the bathroom and goes back to her table once she sees I've gone to the back.